I need a bicorn hat. Now, can you imagine me, like, just standing up there in a bicorn hat looking out to sea? And get a telescope?
Yes.
That's happening. I'm so getting myself.
You know,
I'm getting myself a bicorn and a tricorn.
The owner of the island told us quite recently that people tend to go a bit mad here, and I think it's already happening, Scott.
During the summer of 2023, we moved to a remote Scottish Hebridean island to be its only two residents, along with our 2 pet sheep and pair of cats. These remote islands seem to retain an old-fashioned rhythm and a charm which we find encouraging us to live a more frugal and simple life, the way man was perhaps more intended to. We have an ancient stone cottage to restore, veggies to grow, livestock to build up, fish to catch and smoke, a boat to buy, and much more. Step back in time with us at the Scottish Isle. Still flowing well. Surprisingly, not really blocked, despite the leaves. It's just fine because of how we've placed the stones. 2 full cisterns. And we have another that over the course of the winter we'll set up down by the other ones next to them, and then we'll have 3 full cisterns.
vegetable patch, which needs digging over, seaweeding, and I'm going to plant it with, the climate here is so mild that I'm going to try and plant some exciting things that we'll definitely eat, like sweet corn. And the flower bed next to the house as well, I have plans to put some seaweed down as an anti-slug repellent and
Oh, don't mention the slugs.
grow lettuces and brassicas if we can protect them from the birds and the deer. Down on the foreshore, I'd like to make some lazy beds and protect them from the deer as well, and plant potatoes the old-fashioned way. And down here,
Hang on. Hello. How are you two? You got a little moustache, Brie. You been at the lake? You were saying?
there's really not much here in the way of wild flowers that we've seen, but we only arrived in the middle of the summer. I'd like to plant some water-loving wild flowers that the birds and the bees will really like. I've had a beehive before, I'm not sure I would get one again, but maybe. But this would be nice to plant with things like bog myrtle, like we found over at the settlement, the township, that bog myrtle's really, the wildlife really likes it. But it's also good for medicinal purposes, and you can make candle wax out of it. So it might be a useful thing to try and introduce into this habitat here.
The reason behind cutting all these weeds back, because a few people have commented on how it's a bit sad that we're doing that, is because one, I don't like them aesthetically. Two, this entire area here, if we get the planting right, can end up being some kind of wildflower meadow. It's going to be hard keeping the weeds down, we know, but that's the plan. And also, the sheep like to come down here and nibble, so it gives them more area of forage. So there's a triple win from the point of view of, and there's the pond as well. So
it's always going to be a balancing act when we're trying to eke out our own existence with the environment. You know, it's a battle, and we have to have dominion over it, as well as exist with it, and use it to our advantage.
Entmoot. Now I'm going down here to have a look at some pine that was chopped down earlier in the year and see how we're going to get it back up to the house. But this is the wood that I was talking about. It's currently all too big to be transported anywhere, so it all needs cutting down here. And I just want to see what the wheelbarrow access is like, because it's not a long way back to the cottage, but it's a bit arduous. This tree here is up for grabs from the point of view of firewood, but that's a professional's job. It's not something for me. It's massive. But those logs under there look quite promising. I have no idea what this is. This is an old water tank that someone's dumped. It looks Victorian. Put a bit of glass on that, make a coffee table. The way I've come is not the way that this wood can travel back. All this needs chopping up. There's a ton of it. There's just so much firewood here. This is why we need a boat. If we had a boat, we could just load it there and take it round. Let's just have a look at these bits under here. I mean, these bits are much more manageable. Let's go and have a look at this while we're here. Well, I expected there to be an opening on one side. Oh, that is heavy. Well, the conclusion is a simple one. It has to be chopped up in situ and then wheelbarrowed back. I mean, you could pick worse places to spend the day chopping wood. A warning to anybody who decides that they want to get pet sheep. The amount that comes out the back end of them and they just deposit it wherever they like is off the scale. I mean, every single day we have to sweep this, what, twice a day?
More than that.
And they like to hang out here because they can hear us in the kitchen and they hear the radio. So they tend to hang around here and there's no way of dissuading them from doing that. So, like, 3 times a day, fun. We were looking on an old 19th century map yesterday and we found something that we didn't know was there. So
If we can see it.
I think we can see it from over here. Well, it's a building of some kind that was on one of the islands. You couldn't see anything around here for these ferns only like a month ago. This path was pretty much hidden.
Bracken. He keeps calling them ferns.
They are. What aren't they ferns?
I don't really know. Are
They are.
ferns the same family?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just up here you like to call them bracken.
Well,
It sounds
we like
more,
to distinguish ourselves
it sounds
from
more
everyone
Scottish.
else.
Right, how can that island have a building on it?
Maybe it's not that island.
But it is. On the map, you've got this.
There was a square building on the 19th century map on one of these wee islands here. And I think I've seen other buildings on islands tend to be the places where stinky stuff happens, like smoking fish or burning seaweed. So,
Or hermitage.
well, you're welcome to go and live there and try it out if you want. I'll stay in the cottage.
Did you wear that? Anyway, on the map, distinctly shows an island closest to the shore, which is this one here, the furthest one that you can see, and on it there is a rectangular building, but it can't be that one because look, not only is it like this, it's not flat, it's not big enough. Well, it's not as big as it is on that map, but do you think it's on one of these?
We're going to have to look at the map again, and you're going to have to get kayaking.
Well, kayaking over there is not an issue. But anyway, the thing is this, on one of these smaller islands, there is another building.
The ruins of a building.
Well, the ruins of a building. Well, of course, you can't see it.
Here comes the rain.
I thought it was that one, but it's not. It can't be that one, can it?
Maybe further around the coast.
It's not further around the coast. There were no more islands around there. I walked around there the other day.
Ah, okay.
This
Aren't you...
This was the debate that we were having last night.
What's the name of an explorer? I can't think of one.
Dr. David Livingstone.
Well, aren't you David Livingstone? I was going to say Robinson Crusoe, but that's something different.
Don't know. Is Cook more relative to finding islands?
I suppose, yeah. Maybe
I
not around these,
yeah.
not around these ear parts though.
I fancy myself as like a Georgian.
Explorer.
Yeah.
You're going to need a different outfit.
Not really. Well, I need a bicorn hat. Now, can you imagine me like just standing up there in a bicorn hat looking out to sea and get a telescope?
Yes.
That's happening. I'm so getting myself.
You know,
I'm getting myself a bicorn and a tricorn.
the owner of the island told us quite recently that people tend to go a bit mad here, and I think it's already happening, Scott.
I am so buying myself a bicorn hat. Just got to find where to get one from. The vintage ones are hundreds, thousands of pounds.
Yeah, really expensive.
Okay, well, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board because today, for the next episode, Katie's probably going to go and see her mother today, but we're going to go over to the island at low tide, which is in about half an hour, and have a look, but it can't be on that.
All right, well, that bird that you can hear is a curlew.
Well, it could be on this, but it's too close. The one that's closest to us, you could get a building on that. Well, we're just going to have to get the kayaks out
And paddle around aimlessly.
but it specifically says here, on this side, not over on that side.
Right, I'm going to look at the map. I'm going to press stop. I'm off.
Okay. Well, Katie decided to go back and have a look at the map. I thought I'd come out here and have a look at these islands a bit closer up. Obviously, it's a little bit later in the day because the tide's in now, so I can't walk over to it. However, this is the so-called island that's on the map. And as you can see, there is no way that a building could be on top of that. Now, here's a photograph of the map itself. And as you can see, on the outer edge of what is this small island, which is connected at low tide to the island itself, there's a rectangle building. Well, we no longer think that that is a rectangle building. I've now decided that what it is it's just a very rough drawing of the outline of what is visible during the highest tide, and you can see on that particular rock how high the tide actually gets. So even though on the key to this map all of the rectangle and square objects are buildings, this can't be. But what it does show you on the map is areas that are visible at high tide. And I think whoever created this particular map just decided to put a rectangle shape. So, unfortunately, that was a failure. But two things about coming out here. One, it's going to test the new microphones because it's incredibly windy at the moment. So if you can't hear any wind, they're doing their job. And the other thing is that when I came out here and came over the hill there, and this bay area, the two stags were foraging. And it was quite comical because we both didn't hear each other. And we both got the fright of our lives. I must have been about, I don't know, 20 yards away from them. And they bolted up this hill before I could get the camera on. So, there's the conclusion. There was no building on this island.